Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something that's on a lot of people's minds, retiring early. But here's the thing. We're going to tear down the flawed assumptions that most early retirement plans are built on. By the end of this, you'll see exactly why the old rules just don't work anymore, and more importantly, how to build a plan that's actually built to last.
So let me paint a picture for you. Imagine Sarah. She retires at 52. She's got what she thinks is a bulletproof nest egg, $1.2 million. She did everything by the book. But just 18 months in, a market downturn hits. A few unexpected costs pop up, and suddenly she's wide awake at 4 in the morning, staring at her portfolio balance, watching her dream just crumble.
And look, Sarah's story isn't some rare exception. Get this, a staggering 65% of people who retire early seriously underestimate how much money they're going to need in just the first decade. This isn't just a string of bad luck, it's a fundamentally broken model.
Sarah's case is the perfect example of this trap. She had her money, she followed the rules, but after a year and a half, her nest egg was already in the danger zone. The problem wasn't Sarah, it was the entire playbook she was told to follow.
You see, the core problem is pretty simple when you think about it. The playbook we're all handed was designed for someone retiring at 65. It's built for a 30-year game where you have Social Security and Medicare backing you up from day one. It was never, ever meant for a 40 or 50-year marathon that starts in your early 50s.
Okay, so let's get into the weeds here. The main culprit, the big one, is the famous 4% rule. It's been the absolute cornerstone of retirement planning for decades. But for someone retiring early, it has 3 critical and, potentially catastrophic flaws. First off, when you stretch that retirement timeline from 30 years to 50, the success rate of the 4% rule just plummets. It goes from over 90%, pretty much a sure thing, down to just 67%. That means there's a 1 in 3 chance it'll fail. Then you've got the penalty problem, a 10% hit on any money you take out before you're 59 and a half. And third, you're flying without a net. There's no Social Security, no Medicare to soften the blow if the market tanks right after you retire.
But honestly, the biggest danger is something called sequence of returns risk. It's a fancy term for a simple and, frankly, terrifying idea. Retiring into a bad market can permanently wreck your plan, even if your average returns over the long haul are great. The timing of those early years matters a lot. And this right here shows you exactly what I'm talking about. It's wild. You've got 2 people, both start with $1 million. Both get the exact same average return over 5 years. But retiree A, who got hit with a bear market right out of the gate, ends up with almost $250,000 less than retiree B. That's the difference between success and failure, and it's all down to timing.
Okay, so that's the scary part. The good news? There are ways to fight back. It all starts with knowing how to get to your own money without getting hit with those killer 10% penalties. Turns out, the tax code has a few legal pathways. You could almost call them secret codes that let you do just that.
Probably the most powerful tool in the toolbox is what's known as the Roth conversion ladder. Now, this takes some planning, at least 5 years in advance. Here's how it works. Each year, you move a chunk of your traditional IRA over to a Roth IRA. You pay the income taxes on that chunk that year. Then, after a 5-year seasoning period for each conversion, that money becomes available to you completely tax and penalty-free. It's like building your own private pipeline of tax-free cash.
Now, the Roth ladder is awesome, but it's not your only move. And what's really helpful here is seeing how the other options stack up. You've got Rule 72T, which gives you fixed payments, but, and this is a huge but, it's irreversible. You're locked in. Then there's the Rule of 55, which is great if you're retiring at 55 or later, but it only works for the 401k from the company you just left. And 457B plans are fantastic for government employees, but you might not have the best investment options. Each tool has a very specific job.
All right, so getting your money out penalty-free is piece number 1 of the puzzle. But what about how much you take out? This is where we have to completely ditch old, rigid rules like the 4% rule. We need to move to flexible, adaptive strategies that actually react to what's happening in the real world.
The guardrail strategy is a perfect example. Think of it like driving on the highway. You set a target withdrawal rate, but you only adjust your spending if the market's performance pushes you way off course and you start hitting the rumble strips. Say, your withdrawal rate shoots above 6% or drops below 3%. It gives you a system so you're not constantly panicking about every market dip.
And then there's the bucket strategy. Honestly, this one is a psychological game changer. You split your money into different buckets based on when you'll need it. The most important one, your short-term bucket. It holds 1 to 5 years worth of living expenses in cash. So when the stock market is going haywire, you can actually sleep at night because you know your income for the next few years is totally safe, completely untouched by the chaos.
So when you put these approaches side by side, the difference is just, well, it's night and day, isn't it? The old 4% rule is like a brick wall. It's rigid and it's bound to crack under pressure. These modern dynamic strategies are more like a suspension bridge. They're flexible, they're resilient, because they are built to move with market reality.
Of course, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, the one massive expense that can blow up even the best withdrawal strategy: healthcare. For a 55-year-old couple, you could be looking at around $240,000. Just let that sink in. That's just for premiums in that 10-year gap before Medicare kicks in. It's a huge financial chasm that you absolutely have to have a plan to cross.
So the most crucial point here is that these aren't just a bunch of separate tips you can pick and choose from. For this to really work, all these pieces have to be woven together into a single, integrated system where every part supports the others, making the whole plan stronger and more resilient.
And this checklist basically brings it all together. You have to stress test your plan against the worst market crashes we've ever seen. You need that flexible withdrawal strategy and a concrete plan for healthcare. You have to start that Roth ladder early. You need to protect your assets right around your retirement date. And you know what? Seriously consider how even a little part-time income can dramatically de-risk the whole thing.
And that really brings us to the one question you have to ask yourself. Is your plan built for yesterday's rules or for tomorrow's reality? Because trying to navigate a 50-year retirement with a 30-year map isn't just a miscalculation. It's a recipe for disaster. And making sure your dream of early retirement doesn't turn into that 4 a.m. nightmare, well, that's what this is all about.